Welcome to the Mr. Universe Meets podcast in association with the Mansformation Programme. Now, the Mansformation Programme is a 12-week programme for men that want to level up their training, nutrition, lifestyle and mindset so that they can live in a body that looks great, feels great and has unstoppable energy. On this podcast, we're going to be speaking to athletes that have reached the top of their game to understand their mindset, habits and routines and what makes them elite. I want you to take advantage of the lessons they teach and go and smash your own goals. I would love it if you guys would like, share and subscribe and enjoy the podcast.
Once you get past that uncomfortableness of feeling a bit embarrassed and you get used to it, then that's where the magic flows.
Do you know what? That's one thing that held me back massively from growing an online presence and growing my fitness business. Yeah. I give too much of a shit what people thought about me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
That's a lot of people though. That is a lot of people. And I think, as you said though, once you get past that and then you see that people will benefit from it and how much you can actually give to people, then it just becomes so much easier.
And I think anyone that's got anything negative to say, when you can see that like the content that you're putting out there is designed to specifically help people, if they've got something negative to say, it's more of a reflection on them than yourself. Do you know what I mean? So,
and you can't please everyone anyway. No. There's always someone that's going to say something negative.
100%,
so as long as you're doing it for the right reasons.
Exactly right. And for the one person that says something negative, you probably helped 100 people. You know, so you got to weigh up that balance. And if you think, well, I don't want to take that criticism from that one person who's probably got some issues themselves.
No, definitely.
You know, then you're not helping all these people that really need your help. So.
And that's the thing about the mind as well. The mind would always, you can have 100 good comments, but the mind would always focus on that one bad one.
Yeah.
And it's when you flip that switch and you think, do you know what? Let's concentrate on the positives rather than the negatives.
Yeah, let's look at the bigger picture here. 100 good comments, one negative.
That's it. It's as simple as that. And then usually the person that has got something negative to say, if you probably sat down with them and had a conversation with them, they'll probably say you're helping them as well. They just don't know how to express themselves.
Yeah,
true. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. Cool, man.
All right, so today on the podcast we've got Jamal Fyfield. I am a big York City fan, so it's a big honour and privilege for me to have Jamal on the show. Jamal played for York City from 2010 to 2014, and he was part of the iconic Wembley Twice team. So Jamal, if you do a quick intro on yourself, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me first of all. I'm a York City fan myself as well. Knew nothing about the team before I came. But once I was here in the city, the people took to me, I took to them. And playing my trade here was some of the best years I've had as a footballer, you know. So it's rare that you come to a club and become so affiliated with it. And I haven't got a bad word to say about the club, about the people. And it's just an amazing time, you know. Obviously, when you make history like we did, it lasts a lifetime.
Absolutely, mate, yeah.
So, yeah, and I haven't had the success since, but that can be put down to so many different things. You know, it's rare when you find a squad, including the management team, that just gel and just click.
It was a special time. It was a special time, and like you say, the players, the management, the fans were fully behind the team. It was just the momentum was unstoppable. Yeah. You know, we went into every game. We like part of the team, but we felt like that. Do you know what I mean? We felt like part of the team. Do you know what I mean? And you know, we went into every game just believing that we would beat the opposition. You know, we were. It was great times, and obviously as a York fan, you don't get too many great times. Every 10 years or so they pop up. You know, so literally on the button this year, we waited 10 years. And on the button, we get promoted again. So you know, these times are real special to us, you know, and that's why I think you guys and that team and that area will be held in such high regard with York fans forever. So, but you know, I'll give people a bit of background. Jamal, I have a gym in York, and Jamal and some of the other players would come down and train at E-Ball Fitness, and I'd put them through these little group sessions, these little circuits and stuff like that, and fuck them up essentially. Do you know what I mean? And put the work in. But you know, you were a young lad back then, and I suppose for obvious reasons, you were a young lad. You never stood out as an obvious leader of the team, but now. You know, you got to look at like your social media, just having a conversation with you for 5 minutes. Yeah. You ooze the qualities of a leader. You know, You're obviously a mentor to so many other guys as well now. So take me on a little bit of a journey, mate, from like back in the day with York to where you are now, in a sense of like your mindset and the leadership qualities that you've built over the years.
Yeah, I've always had a focus and a drive. So, for instance, there's a lot of times when footballers from a certain city might not want to move to fulfill a dream. I was always in the mind of wherever I go that can better myself and I can get closer to my dream of playing in the Premier League and playing on the highest levels of football, then I'm going to do that. It didn't matter to me where it was. And that's what brought me to York. I had the opportunity to go somewhere that was at a better team than I was at. No disrespect to Maidenhead, but they was in a higher league, bigger club, bigger stature. And I took that opportunity with both hands, and coming into when you say into my leadership skills, I was the same. I didn't see myself as that. I think as I've got older, I was lucky enough to have a lot of older pros who did display those traits. And I've literally just stole little bits off them in different ways, So I had someone like if we look back at that promotion team, we had David McGurk, TY. Quiet, but led by example, steady Eddie. Then we had someone like Ingy, goalkeeper, loud, our captain. If something was going wrong, he'd tell you about it. Then we had Doigie, similar, but he had the both where he'd talk but then he'd also show and back it up. Because you've got people that talk a great game, but then they don't back up with their actions, So I was lucky enough to be around those players when I was young and coming up. And I just took little bits from each of them, And coming up, I always found myself, I wasn't so much of a vocal leader, but I found my leadership skills came from my consistency. And that's what I've prided myself on in my later years. Obviously, when you're a young player, you don't have that consistency. And I find that comes from your routine. And that's what led me to working with you on my Sundays, on my day off, Having that routine, coming in and training, doing extras with you, led me to being a better player because I was doing so much more than other people, So I was working when some people should resting. So that gave me that mental edge, And that's something that I pride myself on. That's something that I tell people that I mentor and that I work with, that when people are sleeping, that's when the time for you to be trainers. Obviously, we spoke about the rest is important as a recovery, but at the same time, when you are working, it just gives you that sense of, okay, I'm really doing a lot more than everyone else, so I'm ahead.
I've read the Tim Grover Relentless book, and it speaks about is it Kobe and Michael Jordan, 4:30 gym sessions, and that was their mentality behind it. Well, you're sleeping, you ain't even woke up yet, and I've just put an hour and a half in the gym. Do you know what I mean? And there's a guy called Alan Stein. I don't know if you've ever been an NBA coach, but he was the same. He worked with a lot of them, and that was their mentality. I think he said that he'd arranged to meet Kobe at a gym one time at 4 a.m. and he thought, I'm impressive, I'm going to get there. I'm going to get there early. 3:30 he gets there, and he's already there, warmed up, shooting up. Do you know what I mean? It's like ready to go. So it's like you say, it is that mentality of, doing the stuff when nobody's watching.
Definitely.
Getting up early, putting the work in. And,
100%.
So do you think you've got any? It's like you say, you when I picked up your Instagram a bit before, and I thought, wow, this guy's been on an incredible self-development journey as well. Is there any sort of mentors in particular that have really sparked that thought, actually, this is a route that I want to take? Or has it just been a natural progression, just being surrounded by characters in the changing rooms and stuff like that?
Do you know what? It was more of a natural progression, I have had mentors. Obviously, my parents, first and foremost, they always taught me what I needed to do if I want to achieve a certain thing. And it was always the hard work and the dedication. Similar to what Mayweather preaches, hard work, dedication when no one else is watching. Perfect. But it's when I was coming into my older years when I started to realize that, okay, I'm more find myself surrounded by a younger pro, and they're always asking for advice, and I'd always find myself helping them unwittingly, really, just giving them little nuggets that I've learnt from, you know. And coming up, I realised that if I had maybe someone like myself who had gone through it, had the good days, had the bad days, faced the highs and faced the lows, but came out the other side, I think I'd be a lot more further along. So I thought it's only right that I give that knowledge and give those nuggets of wisdom to the people who are after me, you know, because at the end of the day, it's a tough industry, football. It's a tough industry sport. Then again, life as a whole is tough, you know, and if there's somebody out there that can be helped by a little 30-second clip on Instagram, then I'm all for it, you know. And it gives me a real sense of fulfillment where I can do that. And when people come up to me saying how much I've helped, it really makes me happy, So that's why this is the path I've taken. And hopefully a podcast like this, I can help even more.
Absolutely, mate, yeah. So let's dive into what life as a professional athlete looks like. I want to speak a bit about your daily routine and, is it kind of, what's planned in there that's non-negotiable? What has to happen every single day for you to be able to perform at the highest possible level that you can, and to get the maximum out of your training and to be able to essentially help the team the best that you can on a Saturday. So what does a Jamal Fyfield daily routine look like?
Well, to be fair, to start off with everything, it's what you decide and what you want to become. You can go as far in life or as far in sport or your profession as you want. It's all up to you. Every single day, are you going to wake up and you think, okay, I'm going to give the bare minimum today, or I'm going to try and improve, And I try and improve every single day. It might just be mentally by reading a book. It might just be doing an extra gym session, an extra running session. But I try to improve every single day and try to be better than I was yesterday. And sometimes it doesn't happen, but as long as I try to, I can go to bed at night feeling fulfilled and feeling like, okay, I've made my effort and I've made a sacrifice in a way to be better. So for me, if I'd wake up, nutrition's obviously important as an athlete, So I'm always got my water intake. I'm always having a good breakfast. And I try and get in the gym every single day. Whether I'm doing a core session, whether I'm doing a weight session, a leg session, I'm always in the gym because I'm trying to improve. I can always improve in some way, whether it's my body in a way, because I've had a lot of injuries over the years, and that's why I started working with you, because I started thinking, okay, how can I improve my muscular endurance in games? That's what I need to do. So I'd go in there every single day, and I'm trying to improve. So then it'll come to training. So we'd usually train on Monday and a Tuesday. We might have a day off on a Wednesday, and a Thursday, Friday session with a game on the Saturday. May have a Tuesday game in between. So then I've got to tailor that to, okay, how can I be ready for a Saturday game? And that's not only physical, that's mental as well. So throughout that whole week, I'm in the gym. I'm training to my maximum. I'm trying to get my sleep in there as well, because that's where I feel I perform the best. But yeah, I find that balance, and I think that's the most important thing between working hard and working smart, because you don't want to be doing too much. But as I said, so I'd start off with my day, have a good breakfast, go to training, give it all. And then at the same time, there's a lot of analysis work that's coming into it now as well. So we're analysing the opposition, but we're also analysing ourselves. So I might look back at a game that I've played and I thought, okay, where could I improve in there? Or I might ask myself the question, why did I do that in that instance? And that's basically it, really.
Yeah. And that's one thing we touched on there, is like the importance of rest and recovery. We were saying before we started recording, that was something that I never really focused too heavily on. And everybody, I was just more for doing the work. But now it's become a real priority of mine, and I fully understand that the benefits of sleep, the benefits of like you said, the cold water therapy and all this sort of stuff, and heat therapy and all this sort of stuff. It's become more and more. I think it's become more and more mainstream as well, and you hear a lot more about it. But how important do you prioritise that? These are certain things. I know you said you prioritise your sleep and that, but do you track things like that, or is it
definitely? Yeah. At my age now, I'm 33. I've learned what my body needs. I've learned what my mind needs. So, for instance, what I did do to help with that was I had a diary. So I literally put how much I slept, what I ate, how much I trained, and I gauged it throughout a whole week. And I came to a Saturday and I said to myself, okay, how did I perform on this Saturday? And I got it down to a T. I became obsessed with it to an extent, because I wanted to be the best I could be come a Saturday. So there was times where I'll be doing a gym session on a Friday, and then come Saturday I'll be trying to sprint and my muscles were hurting simply because I've done too much. So now I realised, okay, on a Friday maybe tailor it back, pull it back a little bit. Sleeping pattern. If I don't have about a good 8 to 9 hours sleep, I look like I've never touched a ball in my life. So I've realised I need my sleep to make me perform.
So important.
Exactly that. I need my sleep to make sure that I perform at my best level. And that's where that diary came in. So yeah, I literally know exactly what it takes for me. So what I eat before a game, what I eat on the day of a game, that is what's going to help me become the best player I can be.
Do you have like set pre-match rituals and stuff?
Oh, of course. So
how much of that do you think is actually doing a job, or how much do you think it's just a mental thing?
It's all mental. It's all mental. I think I always say 85% of being an athlete is mental. because a lot of it comes down to your confidence. But in that preparation, if you can say you've had a good 5 good days of training, 5 good days of sleep, 5 good days of nutrition, it's when you come to a Saturday, you know you're going to play well because you're prepared. Now it's just about how you perform on that day. You know, now if you have 5 bad days of training, 5 bad days of nutrition, there's no way you're going to play well.
Yeah.
You know, and it might just be mental, because I know some people don't have any superstitions and they come to a game and they've had a different kind of a week or a different kind of day and they can turn it on. But I'm a firm believer in what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah.
And yeah, it might work for a couple of weeks, but I think in the long run, the people that are dedicated to their craft and to their nutrition and to their sleep and to their rest and recovery, they're always going to go a lot further.
Yeah, and you're going to get that longevity as well.
Exactly.
for the career as well.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, you live a very disciplined life. You know, like you say, you're tracking food, you're tracking sleep.
Yeah.
You know, you've got non-negotiables when it comes to exercise and hydration, all this sort of stuff. You had to make a lot of sacrifices to live a life as a pro. You know, I think. So my clients, if they come on board, they're initially going to struggle with that, having to reduce the amount of nights out that they've got to have, or they don't understand why when they go to the all-they-can-eat buffet they can't eat all they can eat. Do you know what I mean? So you know, or cut back on the booze and stuff like that. So how do you mentally deal with watching friends, family go out, enjoy themselves, socialise, and you have to have that discipline to say no because you've got that higher goal?
Yeah, I'm sure this is something that you can relate to. You know, we're all on different paths at the end of the day. I know what I'm trying to achieve, and I'm not going to be able to achieve it by eating McDonald's every single day or going on a night out on a Friday when I've got a game on a Saturday. Like, I understand that if this is the life I want to lead, then I'm going to have to make some sacrifices. And sometimes it's rubbed people the wrong way. I've spoke about this before. I've missed weddings. I've missed birthdays. I've missed so many things that my friends have enjoyed. But at the same time, this is my job.
Yeah.
You know, this is something that I enjoy. And if I want to get to, so now I'm 33, and I don't think I would have got to 33 still playing at the National League level if I hadn't sacrificed so much. You know, there's been players with so much more ability than me that haven't maybe reached their potential or playing at a lower level simply because they haven't had the willpower to say no. And sometimes I think I'm quite lucky that I've had friends that haven't pushed or haven't forced me to do things that I haven't wanted to do. But at the same time, you've got to be strong enough in yourself to say, okay, this is what I want and this is what it's going to take to get there. And I always say, if you have a plan of what you want, if anything falls under that will deter it or make it a lot more difficult to attain, then it's probably not something you should be doing. You know, like alcohol, for instance. Yes, everyone loves a drink. But when are you going to drink? You're going to drink when you've got a Tuesday game. You're going to drink when you've got a competition. Yeah. No, you're not. So you got to pick the right times, you know. And sometimes it can be boring. I'm not going to lie to you. It can be boring sometimes where you got to go to bed early or you're missing out on certain things. But the rewards are there at the end of the day, you know. And when you win games and you lift trophies, that's when it all becomes worth it.
And I think, like you say, the people that maybe are giving you a little bit of stick for, oh, you're not drinking again today, that they would swap places with you in a heartbeat to play professional football.
Yeah.
Do you know?
Yeah,
100%.
Definitely. And do you know what it is? Right? I always say the same thing. As much as at the time drinking's a great idea, that hangover in the morning is never a good idea. It's never fun.
It's something that obviously I didn't do that much of it. I was kind of like all or nothing. I'm doing it properly.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to prep time for me, not interested. Yeah. And now, to be honest, maybe I'm getting a bit older, can't deal with the hangovers, whatever. It's just not really something that I'm interested in.
Yeah.
You know, like, I don't know, maybe once, twice a year. That might sound really boring to people, but it's just not part of my lifestyle. Yeah. And I think spending your time, submerged in fitness and exercise and good quality food, you realise how shit you feel off the back of it. 100%, you know, so 100%. That's not really something that I want to be doing, you know. Yeah. So, and
at the same time, I feel guilt at sometimes if I have had a late night and I haven't been able to perform to my maximum, or I've eaten something that I probably shouldn't have, I feel that guilt inside me. I still get that, and that's when I know it still means something to me.
Guilt for yourself, or guilt because you'll let the team down on Saturday?
Guilt for myself, firstly, and then guilt also for a manager that's put his faith in me. You know, guilt in my teammates that have worked with me throughout a week, and then on a Saturday I don't perform simply because I couldn't say no. You know, and it's similar to you. Like, if you're training a client, but you've had a late night the night before, and you can't give your all to him, and he's paying you, that's not fair. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
And that's how I feel when I'm doing certain things.
Yeah. I think you do have to be laser focused on, if you've got a goal, you know, like, you are never going to achieve anything of any value without a certain level of sacrifice.
100%.
You know, so and like you say, the booze is always going to be there.
Always.
The junk food's always going to be there.
Yeah.
You know, I suppose you're relatively, short career really within actually getting to play football. You know, relatively short career with bodybuilding. Yeah. You know, so it's you got to kind of max it out while you're there if you want to reach the top and certainly perform as well as you can. Week in, week out. So.
And it's so worth it. You know, as you said, nothing comes easy at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And you don't get anything you don't deserve. So you might see some people that get lucky sometimes, but when you've worked for it, there's no luck involved.
Yeah.
You've worked for every single inch, and that's why when it comes, it feels so much better. Those people that don't work for it and they get that lucky break, it doesn't last long. It never does. So you might have a little run, but those that work for it, it's just sustained.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, it makes sense. I suppose it's kind of answered that one. I suppose we'll speak about friends and family that are obviously not pro footballers that are on different paths in life. You know, and did you ever? You said you had a good bunch around you really that didn't really put too much pressure or temptation on you. How did you deal with the people that were trying to tempt you into doing things that was deviating from your plan?
I'm not gonna sit here and act like I didn't make mistakes. Like there were people that, and they're friends to this day. You know, there were people that maybe didn't have the same focus as me, and they did lead me astray at some point or another. But that compass that I had, where I knew where I need to go and whether that was a right or wrong thing to do, I quickly realised what I needed to do. So I'm happy for those instances because it made me realise, okay, this isn't the way I want to go. I know what I need to do to achieve what I want to achieve. And that's why it's so easy for me to relate to people and give that advice because I've been through it, you know. And at the same time, it's fun at the same time, but you got to understand that this isn't going to get you where you want to go. And if it's not, as I said earlier, if it's not going to propel you forward and it's going to hold you back, you have to make a decision. Is that what you want? What do you actually want? And how do you want to achieve it? You know?
Yeah, it's about priorities.
Exactly that. Exactly that.
Yeah. So let's talk. Let's dip back into like your career and the high points of your career. And like I said, I'd imagine that Wembley would be up there with one of the high points of your career. But another thing that when I was looking into like your career for research for this, you were attracting a lot of interest from championship clubs, and obviously at the time we were a National League North club, York. Yeah. So I think is it Millwall, Forest that we're looking.
Yeah, there were some of the teams.
There were some of the talk there. How did you deal with that level of interest? Did you, did that drive you on to want to go to that next level, or did you think, "Hey, I've made it just a matter of time, man, before I'm in that Premier League"?
I'll be honest with you. It definitely got to my head. I definitely started reading the articles and imagining myself in the Premier League and in the Championship and playing at these stadiums, and I kind of did take my eye off the ball. I kind of had more of a swagger in my step, if you will, when I was walking into the training ground at York City. But I had a manager that kept it away from me. He didn't entertain it. But at the same time, it did go to my head and I did take my eye off the ball in a certain aspect. And that's why I think that it's so good for me now that I can give that advice to people, because in the end, it didn't materialize. Yeah. Because I did take my eye off the ball and I didn't keep my standards in consistency when I was performing. I was still playing well, but I wasn't at the level that I was. And at the same time, it wasn't only because I started thinking about where I could go. It was also because I started getting nervous of thinking, okay, I'm being watched. Now I'm being scrutinised. Now, York City have a great fan base, but now I'm thinking, okay, there's one Sunderland scout or there's one Millwall scout and he's looking at my every single move. So now I kind of froze a little bit. Yeah. And my performances started to dip. And it got to the point where I even got taken out of the team. And then that whole interest just completely faded. So it was an amazing time, but at the same time, it was tough. It was really tough.
So how would you have handled that differently? How would you have
see now? This is the advice. I was speaking to a young player the other day about this. Now, it's simply you can't. It's hard not to read the tabloids. It's hard not to read the Twitters and the fans are all praising you, saying, "Yeah, you're going to be the next big thing." But you literally have to shut it out. You just have to continue doing what you were doing. That's got you to that point. Keep doing the extras. Keep going to over your games and seeing where you can improve and analysing your own performance, because you can only control yourself. You can't control any outside influences. You can only control what you can control, and that's what you do on a day-to-day basis to get better. And that's the advice I'd give. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen. But it's not going to happen if you start thinking about it and you start picturing yourself in that situation. So that's the main thing I'd say to people. Just continue what you're doing, stay grounded, and just stay on your grind, really.
Yeah, like I said, control what you can control.
Exactly.
There's so much stuff out there that you don't have, that you can't have an effect on, and you have no say in.
Yeah.
And people get hung up on that, and I think that's what causes a lot of anxiety. And as like you say yourself, you were freezing in performances and stuff like this.
And that's the thing. A lot of people do start worrying about the things they can't control. What if this happens, or what if that happens? Well, how about you just concentrate on yourself?
Yeah.
Like, what has got you to this point? It's the sleep, it's the nutrition, it's the training, it's the extra training.
Yeah.
Okay, so why don't you just carry on doing those things?
Yeah.
And everything else take care of itself. You know, don't look too far. I'm a firm believer in not looking too far into the future. Yes, have your goals written out. Once you've had them written out, keep going over them, but don't focus too much on them, and don't focus too much on the past either. Yeah. Because we haven't got a time machine where we can change it.
You have to focus on the process, don't you?
Exactly.
You have to focus on the process a lot, and like you say, the results will kind of take care of themselves. You know?
And enjoy the process as well. You know, enjoy the work that it takes to become great. You know, a lot of people try and force it or try and speed it up. You got to embrace it. Embrace all the challenges, embrace all the hurdles, and in the end, it all come good.
Yeah, 100%, mate. So speaking about not looking too far into the future, one thing I wanted to speak about was, you know, that Wembley season, that Wembley twice season. Did you ever let yourself get excited? Obviously, you're only a young lad at the time. Yeah. You know, did you ever let yourself get excited about the possibility of promotion or Wembley, or, you know, essentially what was 2 Wembley appearances? You know, or did you genuinely have that one game at a time mentality?
No, I'm not going to sit here and lie and say that I didn't look into the future, but at the same time, I wasn't fully aware of what I was going through. Yeah. You know, I'd come from Maidenhead, who were a team that weren't used to winning, a team weren't used to challenging for things. So when I came into a change room with York City, who expected to be in certain positions, like when we lost the game, for instance, you'd walk in there and it was like a morgue. Everyone head down, or no one would be talking. Whereas after Maidenhead game, the music would be straight on. So I bopped in there after a game thinking, okay, yeah, we lost that one, we go again. But no, it was a real professional attitude towards succeeding and winning. So when I first walked into that change room and we was winning games and was playing well, and I was playing well, it was amazing. You know, we did start thinking. I personally definitely started thinking about, okay, yeah, promotion is definitely on the cards. But again, it's one of those things where the games come so fast and we was playing so well that literally anyone that came to the ground, we just swept the floor with him, you know, and we was playing amazing football, as everyone knows, and was doing really well. So, and then when we finally did nail down those 2 Wembley dates, that's when we really started dreaming. I really started thinking, oh my gosh, like this could be it. And it was.
Yeah. So we spoke about like some of the high points there, but what about the low points? You're like, how do you get your mindset right when you're getting over, when you're injured? Yeah. You know, when you've so let's go through injuries first. You know, you obviously, you know, so vice captain Boreham Wood. I think you went on a great cup run this year, and you managed to get injured for the Everton game. Yeah, was it at Goodison as well? Yeah, so you know that's probably you know, as a footballer, that's probably something that a game that come along few and far between, and you know you want to be part of that, especially if you're a leader in that team. Yeah, how do you deal with that?
Well, so it's really bittersweet, you know, because obviously I've tasted the success of getting promoted, I've tasted the success of walking up those Wembley steps and lifting a trophy with my teammates. But then you come to a game of a magnitude of an FA Cup run, because I missed a game before it as well with injury, which was Bournemouth away, where no one expects us to go there and win. But we managed to pull off a great 1-0 win with our captain Mark Ricketts scoring a goal, and then we get that Everton draw, and it's like, I need to get fit. So I'm trying everything I can to get fit and everything. And it come to a point where I realised that I wasn't going to be fit a few days before. And even if I was fit, but by that point I was out for 4 weeks, so I wouldn't be able to give the best account of myself. Yeah. And then it just becomes one of those moments where you just got to be there for your teammates. You know, as much as you want to be out there, you want to be supporting, you just can't, you know. And it was crushing, because I play football for a good 15, 16 years now, and that's the first time I've ever gone to a Premier League ground. Will that happen again? Who knows, you know? And that's what I was going through my mind. But at the same time, as one of the older players in the squad, You just have to be there and be that support system for the players, and it was a great occasion. It was great to be fair, I was on the bench for it. I was never going to come on, but even that experience was amazing, Okay. And to play and to see those players up close and personal and see what it takes to become elite, or and being in an elite stadium like that, it was an amazing experience, But it was tough. And those are the days where you can't get back. But that's life at the end of the day, Sometimes you can't. It doesn't always go to plan.
And I suppose that's a test of your leadership skills, to be, personally gutted that you're not going to get on that pitch and that you're not going to actually be able to influence the game or be part of it.
Yeah.
But to still big up and lift everybody around you to put in the best account of their self. That's where your leadership qualities really have to come to play.
And that's similar to when York made the playoff final. I think I started a good 30 games that year, contributed with about 4 or 5 goals, and for a centre-back / left-back, that's really good. Then coming to the actual day and being told that I wasn't in the squad, like crushing. Yeah. Then I'm looking at Gary Mills thinking, are you sure? Like, everything I've done for you during this season, and the biggest game of the season, I'm not even involved, I'm not even on the bench, I'm not even an option to come on. And then that was heartbreaking, But then my mind quickly changed from then, and I was a young boy. I think I was 22 at that time. So, and then I've realized that, okay, this is bigger than me. This isn't only about me, And that's something that I tell a lot of the players, that when you are out of a squad, you've got to understand why you are, and I might take some soul search. You might have to look in the mirror and say, okay, you know what? In the last few weeks, I've not been good enough, so maybe I don't deserve to be in there. And a lot of time we don't look at ourselves in the mirror and ask ourselves those questions. So then I had to realize, you know what, this is bigger than me. Now I can be a bad egg and bring the mood down, or I can G up all my teammates, because that's who I've been battling with, going to war for 46 games of the season. And then we all at the end of it, okay, can we win that game? And we did, And then the next season, I used that as fuel to help me propel me forward to play another 40 games in League Two. So yes, I didn't play that pivotal game, and that could have been the end point where I could have said, the manager could look to me and say, you know what, he's not got a good attitude, He's not the kind of player that I want in my squad. Or I could go the other way and be a real asset to the team, even though I wasn't on the pitch.
Test the character to go through that and still come out fully supporting everyone. I mean, you'll probably just been born then, but like Italia 90, when I was an 8-year-old, that was the first tournament that I remember. Yeah. And Gaza gets booked in the semi-final, and if we get there, he's going to miss the tears and stuff like that. And I just remember being younger thinking, God, what would you do in that situation? Like, you're going to miss the World Cup final, but of course you've got to want everyone else to get there, but then if they do, you're going to miss out. Yeah, it's.
And I've heard Roy Keane talk about that. I think Paul Scholes, where they done the treble year and they missed the Champions League final, and they got a booking, I think, in the semis and the quarters, or one of those games. Yeah. And again, at the end of the day, you got a job to do. Yeah. Like, okay, you're still on the pitch now, so you can still affect what happens. So how about we get the team to that race, to that start line. Yeah. And then whatever happens after that happens, You just have to do your part where you can. And I always think that you have to be somebody that you want to be around. Don't be the poison that brings everything down. When people talk about you, are they going to say something negative or are they going to say something positive? And everyone I meet, I try to give them a positive outlook and a positive thought when it comes to myself. Yeah.
So again, going through some low points, how you dealt with stuff like that. Talk about getting released. So you get released at Leyton Orient. Yeah. Essentially, you were told at York you were no longer required. Mm-hmm. What's the mindset? What's the thought process when you have that conversation?
Pain, really. So I live about a 5-minute walk from Leyton Orient's ground. My mum's got a house about 5 minutes away, and no word of a lie, it felt like an hour's walk back home. It was painful. It was felt like the end of the world, because a lot of times we are told that, yes, football is the only route that you've got. And that's how it felt at the time. I wanted to be a footballer. That's all I wanted to be, and I felt like my dream had been crushed. I didn't know what direction to take there. I felt like it was over for me, And that was a tough couple of weeks, coming to terms with that. But again, using that as fuel and turning that pain into my strength is what really got me through, trying to prove people wrong and prove myself right, essentially. A lot of the time we concentrate on proving people wrong, when I think we should flip that into, okay, can we prove ourselves right? Because yes, we know who we think we can be. Okay, well, let's go and put it into action and make it happen, you know? And that was tough. And again, when it happened at York City, sometimes a player would say, a club would say that you're surplus to requirement, so you can leave or you can get paid up. And in a way, you're getting released as well. Because, it didn't happen at the end of the season, but you've been told you're not good enough and you're not told you're not wanted. And at that point, I was a lot older, and the manager at the time was Nigel Worthington, sorry. And I wasn't good enough when he came in, simply because before he came in, I was out of the team and mentally I wasn't right. I was doubting myself again. I wasn't being picked, and it was tough. So when he came in, I was a shell of myself. So in that instance, I knew that was down to me. So I went away and I worked on my mind, I worked on myself, and I tried to get mentally stronger to come back from that. And touch wood, I haven't been released since. So
like I say, I think you're going to go one way or the other, aren't you? You could have that, pity party and that victim mentality, and just let this. Well, this is the end.
Yeah.
If I'm not good enough at York City, where am I going to go from? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like you say, fuel to the fire, and use it to. And I love that frame, proving yourself right as opposed to proving people wrong.
No, definitely. And at the same time, it's one of those things where I don't blame anybody for anything. I always look within first. So instead of thinking, okay, that manager didn't like me, or that boss doesn't like me, I look at myself and think, okay, where can I improve?
You've got to take ownership.
Exactly that. What can I do to make sure I'm not in that situation again? And I think that's where it all changed for me. When I started taking ownership of everything, even if it wasn't my fault, I took ownership of everything, and everything changed.
My name's Colin Wiseman. I'm on week 11 of the Transformation Programme with Stuart Garrington. Been tough, but it's the good type of tough that when you realise all your mistakes for the previous year of eating too much and drinking too much.
I'd just say whatever your goals are, it gets you there. I set out with this as a 12-week programme, and like I say, I plateaued for 10 months, and within 3 weeks, I'd beat my expectations.
I've had to have surgery during the programme, but we've not changed anything. We've just changed the programming slightly. Been great all the way through it, so yeah, I'd recommend him 100%.
It's one of these things, I think, if you give it a chance and have a bit of self-discipline, I'm into the 5th week now, and I literally feel the best I have done in years, to be honest.
So what about one more thing we'll touch on, like low points that footballers go through? Bad form, personally, a bad run of results, even if you feel like you're doing okay, but the team's getting hammered every week. How do you pull yourself out of that slump?
I think when it comes to bad form, it's always about self-assessment. If you're feeling like you're not performing at your maximum, you need to ask yourself what it is. Sometimes you're carrying a niggle. Sometimes home life isn't the best, or sometimes you're not doing the right things. And sometimes you got to ask yourself, okay, when I was playing well, what was I doing? What could I do to go back to that? And as a team, again, sometimes down to systems, sometimes it's just not your day. Sometimes you're playing so well, and every last 10 minutes, someone will nick a goal and you lose a game. But no, it's all about pulling in the same direction collectively. And I think that's the most important thing. Coming to terms with where you're going wrong, having a positive mindset, because it's so easy to doubt. It's so easy. Everyone goes to negative thinking so quickly, and it's really important that you train your mind to not take it back, not go to that negative place, because the voices will always be there.
How do you train your mind to do that?
So I do a thing where I have post-it notes, So I'll have a post-it note in places that I will look at every day. So I'll have one on my ceiling, I'll have one in my visor of my car, I'll have one in my wash bag. And these things will just say, okay, today I will be great. Or today I'm going to be the best version of myself I can be. Just little reminders, or even on my phone as my screensavers, if I've got a quote that will say something along the lines of, how can I improve today? It's always getting your mind thinking, and when because your mind is your biggest, what's the word I'm looking for? Your mind is your biggest weapon. But if you don't train it, it'll work against you. So you have to train your mind to always think positively. And sometimes it's not easy. But when you've got those little reminders of, say, a Post-it note, or a positive person that you can speak to, those things always help. And that's the way I train my mind.
One of the things we've got up in the gym is, it's been there for years, and it's a piece of artwork, and underneath it says, success is the sum of small habits repeated daily.
Yeah.
And like that for me, you know, when I was in there training and I just didn't want, I'll do that last exercise or to do that last set.
Yeah.
It's these small little things that you do that will compound into success. If you just, you know, and that was my little mantra.
Consistency,
thing that I, you know, that I, and I'd like to say I've got it in a big 6-foot poster up in the gym. So they remind me every time I'm in there. That's the one
it.
thing, yeah.
And I love that. I love that. That's something I live by as well, because it's not always going to happen overnight, you know, but eventually if you keep chipping away, you're going to get what you want.
Yeah. Do you do anything like meditation or anything like that?
I don't do a lot of meditation. I have dabbled in it quite a few times, and just being still and just being comfortable in your own presence and in the silence. But I do a lot of visualization and manifesting. I try to think as positively and try to think of what I want to come into my life. And that's something that I've grown to do as I've got older. And that came from a book called The Secret. I'm sure many people have read that. And I think the universe is such a powerful thing, and I actually believe in that.
I think that some people will take the wrong meaning from that and think, if I just sit here and think about winning £1 million, it's going to come to me. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but what you're actually doing is you're visualizing this stuff. You're picturing the things that you want, and then from that, I think your brain will subconsciously or you will actively try and connect the dots about how I'm going to get there, and then it's the actions that you take that bring these things into our life.
Exactly.
Just sitting there thinking, I hope I'm playing in the Premier League, is not going to happen without you taking action. But like you say, it starts by actually visualising. You know, one of the things that I would do sometimes is before a gym session, I actually, you know, I struggled a little bit after I won the universe. I struggled a little bit to kind of get back to that sort of level of intensity with my training, and I had to do this for quite a while afterwards. Go onto YouTube. Get the bit where they announced me as the winner. Okay. And he's in 6th place, in 5th place. And it went up to, and I'm there and I win it, and that I can see the look on my face, and it brought all them feelings back. And then I would literally go and train. Yeah. And that, like you said, just picturing that time, that success. Yeah. It was a little mindset shift.
That's it. Boom, that's it.
And I would go and smash the gym. Yeah. And I would go kill that workout, and I would eat perfectly for the rest of the day off that one little thing. So.
And that is tough sometimes, you know, because when you've trained for something so long, and then you finally have it, that's why you see so many people, they win a major or they win a competition, and they won't win again because they can't find that again. You know, they can't find that passion, that same thing. But when you have that drive and you understand that, okay, let's do it again. Can we be great again? And you prove yourself. Okay, I've ticked that one off. Well, let's write a new goal. Yeah. So, for instance, now we're in the season's going to start next month. Okay, let's write out some new goals now. Last season I won Chairman's Player of the Year. This season I won Manager Player of the Year. Okay, next season I want to go one better. I want to win the league. You know, I want to be the top goal scoring defender in the league. You have to keep pushing yourself and keep extending yourself to get better.
It's so important to set goals, though.
Always.
Being in limbo is just the worst.
It's the worst. Yeah.
You're not achieving anything. Yeah. It's just a terrible place to be, especially if you're a very focused and driven individual like you clearly are. You know, so definitely think it's super important to have them goals, whether it's in your professional career, within relationships, within life, business, whatever.
Yeah, always. I think that's one of the most important things is setting a goal, but also setting. I've set 2 goals. You set an unrealistic one, and you set a realistic one, because I don't think there's any. I don't think there's an in between. Because I think if you think you can achieve it, you can. Yeah. You just got to do the steps to get there. Yeah. You know, and you'll be so surprised. Like, you look at the players that have gone from, I don't know, the Jamie Vardys or the Jamal Lows that have started from the bottom and gone all the way to the top. They set an unrealistic dream and they made it happen simply through their dedication and their hard work. You know, every day they try to improve, and that's how they got there. It's not by luck. It's not by coincidence. Like, you might get lucky once or twice, but as I always say, when you put the steps in place and you stay ingrained in that, you're gonna get there eventually.
Yeah, absolutely. So, biggest mistake you've made in your career what was that, and how did you kind of come back from that?
Biggest mistake. My biggest mistake.
Or a regret?
My biggest mistake was listening to outside noise. Then my second biggest mistake would be asking for a deal, asking for more money than I probably deserved. So let me start with the listening to others. So there was a time when the first thing I'd do after the game was go to the blogs and look at how I played from fans.
Okay, yeah.
Instead of looking at my own performance or listening to my teammates or my manager, I would look at, and this happened at York, this happened at Maidenhead, and I'd always look.
That must be ruthless, because like we were saying before, like fans can be ruthless, even to their own players.
Yeah, and that's what it was. And and as we said before, there'll be 100 great comments. Yeah, Jamal was exceptional, Jamal, but I'll be looking for the bad one, and that bad one will just stick in my head, and it will just keep turning and turning and turning. And that's one of the biggest mistakes I made, because I found myself trying even harder than I should have been. I found myself doing things out of character simply because I had someone's voice in my head, So that's the advice I give a lot of people. Don't listen to the outside noise. You know when you've played well, you know you played bad. And there was another time when I went to sign for a club in the summer, and I knew this club was right for me. I knew that it had all the tools that I needed to become the person I wanted to be, the player I wanted to be. But because of money, I didn't take it. I asked for more. Now, they told me to go away and they'll come back with a deal. They never came back. And that made me realise that you have to do it for the right reasons. And money is never going to be the right reason. And don't get me wrong, we all want more money. We all want more money to buy the things we love. But if something is right for you and you know it is, eventually the money will come. Finding your passion in something and doing something that you love, the money will always come eventually. If you only go for the money, it's not going to get you up in the morning to go and do it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's really important, that we find our passion and we go towards things that are for us instead of just for money.
Yeah. When I started on my sort of like self-development journey and really kind of my focus shifted from bodybuilding to business, I would go to these courses on how to build fitness businesses and stuff like this, and the advice would be, why are you doing it? Why are you doing this? Is it just for the money? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, I really want the money. Do you know what I mean? But then when I actually stopped and looked at it, and I looked at my diary, and it was like, yeah, I'm working with all these people, but then like with you guys, I did it for free because I wanted to help you guys to get better. I'm looking at my diary thinking, well, I help this person for free, and I help this person, and I give advice to this person. I thought, oh shit, I must like helping people.
No, 100%.
Do you know what I mean? And I was that bit of a reality thing. So, and like say when you actually dial in on that and focus on that being the priority, the money's a great byproduct.
Of course. Yeah. At the end of the day, look, I've been in a privileged position to do something that I love since I left school. And I know that not everyone has that same opportunity. So I know and understand how blessed I am to do that. But if you have the chance to do something like, even if it's just a hobby on the side, that brings you that fulfillment, you should do it, whether or not there's money involved or not, because I think doing one thing daily that makes you happy makes so much more of a difference to your life. Because sometimes we go through life and just work. And then come the end of the week, we think, oh, what have I actually done with myself? What have I actually done with my time? Have I worked for someone else, or have I done anything for myself, And sometimes it can be as little as going for a walk, taking your dog for a walk, or calling somebody that brings you joy, or even something as small as like, okay, you like coffee, or go and treat yourself to a nice coffee every now and again. Yeah. It makes so much more of a difference, And again, when we come back down to money, that can't be your only motivating factor.
I think when it is, sometimes your self-worth becomes tied to that.
Yeah.
So like for myself, if I didn't sell a personal training package, or someone went, oh no, actually I don't, I can't do that, I don't do that, I would take that as a personal thing. Do you know? Because I was fully, but yet when they bought in, I was elated.
Of course.
And I had to really distance myself from that sort of like, like say, because I was tying my worth to a number.
And we are programmed to that in a way though. Yeah. Like we have been programmed to, okay, it's the money. We have to make this, we have to make that. And how we feel is always secondary. When really and truly you can actually swap the two around.
100%, because like it is, I think focusing on I've just brought a guy on to work with me, a guy called James, and he's working on board the online transformation with me now, because we're getting to a level where it needs a couple of coaches in there. And one of the things that he picked up instantly on was the amazing feeling when people go to him, James, mate, you've really helped to change my life.
It's amazing.
He's like, this is way better than earning X amount. You know what I mean? This is but the money will come, because when you start changing so many lives and start impacting so many people, of course, if you're making a big impact in the world, you're going to get rewarded financially for that, because people want to work with you.
100%. And that's when, so obviously on my Instagram page, Twitter page, where I give advice to young players, and I give advice to anyone really who's reading it, because it's not only tied to footballers. When I get a comment of, you know what, you're doing something amazing here, you've really changed my outlook on this, or you've really changed my my day, and what you're doing is really helpful, it's an amazing feeling. There's nothing that can beat that, you know. And I think one of the highest acts that a human can do is to inspire and help, you know. And there's no amount of money that can change that.
Yeah,
you know. So
no, absolutely, man, absolutely. So let's dig in a little bit to York City, because, like, even though this is a podcast that's focusing on mindset and performance and stuff like that, I kind of want to tie the two in, just like, you know, for my own personal reasons.
No worries, let's do it.
So, but we'll talk. It wouldn't be an interview with Jamal Fyfield if we didn't talk about that goal against Grimsby.
Okay.
So I'm sat up in the stand that game, and it was quite high up. I think we were looking right down on it, and we'd gone 2-0 up, and then they pegged us back to 2-2. Yeah. I don't think you had the greatest game that game. I remember a lot of people shouting in the crowd that game, and then you picked the ball up in your own penalty box, and you run the length of the field. And I don't know if it was probably at that time Reedy, Walker, in the middle, open. Jamal, pass the fucking ball, man, pass the ball. Everyone, pass. And you had no intention to listen to anybody, and you slotted that into the back of the net on what, about 86 minutes, something like that. Winners the game 3-2. Unbelievable. Like, let's kind of just go through your self-belief and your confidence level. Okay. Especially after having not the greatest game. Yeah. How did, having that self-belief, because it would be very easy to pass the ball. Yeah. And then it's Reedy's fault or Walker's fault. If they missed that's their fault. But I done the hard work. I got us from box to box.
No, of course.
But you had that self-belief and that confidence in yourself. Yeah. Is that something that's always been there? Is that something that you've worked on? Is that something that you feel like, you can improve and, Do
you know what? I think it's one of those things where I've always been confident in my ability. And in that game, where we were 2-0 up and cruising, I'd had an indifferent game where I do something well and I do something bad and I do something well. And that's just how the game went. Yeah. Got to 2-0 until about 70 minutes, and then I think I played a pass out wide. No, sorry, I cleared the ball, but I cleared it to them. 2 moves later, the ball's in the back of the net. So now I'm thinking, okay, that goal's my fault. And that's the first thought. I thought, okay, now they're back in the game. They've got the momentum. They scored a second goal. So now it's 2-2. I'm thinking, if I didn't make that first mistake, this game would have been dead and buried. Now I've got to do something to eradicate those two goals. And it might have been, and I was thinking more defensively. I thought, okay, if I get the ball down here, I've noticed throughout the game that they're quite lopsided. And as I've got the ball down, I've just run. Looks around, okay, no one's coming towards me. Keep running. Still no. Then before I knew it, I was at the edge of the box. And they had a goalkeeper at the time, James McConey, just left there, who's been there for God knows how many years. And I could have passed it, but at the end of the day, when I'm running towards the York fans, I can see you all at the end, and I'm thinking, you know what, I'm hitting this. I've made a mistake. I don't really care. My head's gone already as well. So at the same time, it's funny how when in situations when you're angry, you don't care about anything because you're already angry. Whatever happens after this is whatever. Yeah. If I blazed over the bar, I've had a bad game anyway, who cares? Yeah. And I've hit it. I don't think I've even hit it too well, to be honest. It's bobbled about 8 times and it's gone over the keeper's arms into the bottom corner. And then, it's just...
That must be some feeling right in front of the offense, because we took a few that day as well, didn't we?
It was amazing. And that game there, I think it like... if there was a game that could have spoke about the belief in our team, it was that game, There was times where we had scored so many last-minute goals, like Reedy would pop up with a goal. Ash Chambers, Blair, who couldn't stop scoring that year, would score goals. But that goal there was like literally it was like a weight off my shoulders in a way, because I knew, well, that's how I felt, and it was my fault. I felt if we lost that game, it's my fault. And at that time, it was tight. It was tight up there. So every point counted. And I've to this day, even yourself, as you said, a lot of York fans will always come up to me and message me saying that goal was the best I've ever seen. And
I can't find it anywhere on YouTube though. I can't find it nowhere on YouTube. But if you can, do you know where it is? Because I send it to me because I've tried
I'll find it.
I've seen like a little
somewhere.
clip from the news that shows it from a side shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't even show the ball going to the net.
Yeah.
It just but I looked at it before this interview and I thought I wanted to just watch it back. And I never find it.
No, it's the best. It's the best. And then we literally went into the crowd and we're all there. We're all celebrating together.
Yeah, so good.
It was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah.
It wasn't my favourite York goal though. My favourite York goal was my debut goal that I scored in my first
Tamworth
game. Yeah.
Which
Which come off my shin, to be fair.
You played on the wing that game.
Yeah. I
So,
played on the wing.
So did you come in as a winger then, or was it you just?
So
happened to be
no.
put
So
there?
that year I came in as a left back. But during my years, I used to just in training. I didn't really, because I wasn't playing. I just wanted to impress. So I was doing everything. I was running up and down with the ball, and then game was, you know what, we could probably use you as a winger. And I'd played wing in my younger years, so I was just an impact sub in my first couple of games. And then when Mez got injured or Mez moved into midfield, then I went into left back and just come from there. And me and Ash built up a good rapport. So yeah. And as I say to everyone, like, get in where you can fit in. Okay, you might be a midfielder, but you're only going to start at right back. You better go and play right back.
There must be some feelings going on debut.
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. And
especially, I suppose, taking a leap up from Maidenhead to York.
Yeah. And that was...
Did you feel a lot of pressure with that move, or is it a
No,
level
I
up? It's
didn't.
a much bigger club.
Yeah, I didn't feel pressure, but I knew that it was a step up. The speed was quicker, the players were stronger. It was a lot more physical. But it was something that I embraced. You know, at the end of the day, I wanted to make something of myself. I wanted to be the best I could be. And coming into that team, I didn't realize how good of a player Mez was. Yeah. He was amazing.
Brilliant, yeah.
It was amazing. I was like, okay, now I've actually got competition again, where I hadn't felt that until I was at Leyton Orient. So then it really pushed me, you know.
Yeah. So again, going back to City, and we spoke about like Millsy there, who is like just my favourite manager. He's amazing. I absolutely love Gary Mills.
Yeah.
But you know, I heard rumours before of like quite a drinking culture that he kind of brought, and even by his own admission at the Wembley Twice reunion, he said, you know, instead of training some days, we'd get lads and we'd just go for a pint.
Yeah.
You guys were all coming in and doing the extras off your own back. So, you know, is that? Did you want to be pushed harder in training? Is it?
No,
did you enjoy? Did you feel motivated by that team bonding? Is that something that definitely brought you guys together? Or how did them two sort of things conflict when the manager's saying, "Oh, just go for a pint," and yet the lads are coming round together going, "Come on, we're all off to the gym this afternoon after training." Yeah.
To be honest with you, that day that you're talking about at the Wembley Twice reunion, I don't think we definitely didn't miss any training sessions to go and drink.
Okay.
You know, I know there's rumours about there was a drinking culture, and on away games we did sometimes go. We did stop off at a pub and have a team bonding session, but it wasn't so much as get the double vodkas in and the pint of Guinness. It wasn't that. It was like, okay, if you want to have a drink, you can have a drink.
Cool.
We've had a long journey. We've had a long week. We've done our work. Tomorrow's our game. If you want to have a drink, fair enough, have a drink. Some of the boys would have a pint, half a pint, and some wouldn't, you know. But more, what he didn't say was we'd play darts, we'd play Skittles, we'd all sit around and have our lunch together.
Yeah.
We'd all have a laugh together. And that's people from London, that's people from Ireland, that's people from York. So he brought so many different cultures, so many different people together, and that's his way of doing it. Now, the pub was the place that we did it, but it wasn't so much of, okay, let's get steaming. No. I do remember one time though where we went on a bad run and he put a bottle of, I think it was brandy on the table. He said, anyone's nervous, have some of that. But it took the tension out of the room. Everyone had a laugh. We went out there and won. No one touched it, but we all went out there and we had no stress. We realised that, okay, we're in a predicament, but at the end of the day, we're playing with each other. We've had a great scene so far. Let's just carry it on. So no, there was a level of professionalism, as you said. People come in to work with you. We was going to Roco gym after most sessions. You know, we was doing spin class. We were doing double sessions. So as much as there was a lot of rumours about, it wasn't as bad as it was made out to be.
Yeah, it just interests me because, like, I mean, no one can argue with the results.
Yeah,
Like if you could
exactly,
author in the pub and still did what you did.
Everyone probably should have done
yeah,
it.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like you say, it just interests me as to, obviously, as the fans, we only hear the rumours, the bits that have trickled through the grapevine sort of thing. But yeah, no, interesting.
And at the same time, there was a time when he came back, and I understand that it wasn't as good as his first spell. So then, obviously, when you're winning, anything goes. You know, if you had a night out, night before, but you scored a hat trick, you might as well have another one. But no, I think it's always easy to throw stones when the results aren't coming in.
I think he's obviously a great, and if that was his style, he was obviously a great man manager. And like I say, I would imagine that he played a big part in the camaraderie that you guys all had at the Wembley twice season.
Oh, he's an amazing manager. Like he's definitely top 2 that I've had. But I was scared of him. I was so scared of him. Like he'd give you a look, and he'd just stare at you, and it's like a parent looking at you. You didn't want to let him down.
Yeah.
And I was young then. I think he played on that quite well with the young boys. But obviously, you'd want to give him your all. Like there wasn't a day where you didn't know that you'd have been in the training session. Like everything was maybe innovative really, because everything was 2-touch. Everything was short and sharp. And then come into a game, it's just second nature. Then we started moving the ball, and that's how Jason's goal created. That's how Ash Chambers' goal created, because he instilled that in us. And some of us had never even trained like that before. So it was new to so many of us. But like you say, he's your favourite manager. And there's so many players that he's coached that will probably say the same thing.
Yeah. So, again, go back to that Wembley twice team. You briefly touched on, TY and Ingy and stuff like that were the leaders. But who were there any other leaders in there? Obviously, you touched on the different styles of leadership they have. But which style motivated you the most, and which style do you take now when you're trying to motivate others?
So there was so many. Like we had Pars, we had Chris Smith who was our captain, and it was our team was littered with experienced players. You had someone like Jason who could score or go out of nothing, or you had Blairy who was just a joker who just oozed goals. Now I was more of I'm more. Whose style did I want to the most? I would say TY, Pars. Pars wouldn't say a word to anybody, but when he spoke, you listened, because he didn't do it often. Ingy was always barking. So sometimes you might have to shut Ingy out. Yeah. But Ingy's always, his heart's always in the right place. His delivery just might not have been, and that's what I learned. Okay, my delivery is something I need to work on. And that's something I still work on now, because there might be sometimes where I see someone doing something wrong and I might shout at them. And it's the wrong way, because that person might need an arm around the shoulder, and that's something I learned from Ingy. Okay, cool. I can get my message across in the right way. But I feel as though the mix of the two, so being like a TY or a Pars who would show you how to do it, and then you got someone like Chris Smith or Doigi who would be vocal at the same time, show you as well. So I feel as though the best leaders are the ones that are in the trenches with you. You can see them working, and you can see whatever they're saying, they're doing themselves. Because there's a lot of people that will say the right things, but behind closed doors, not doing it.
So obviously, with your awareness about mindset and how it's going to benefit and stuff like this, I imagine you're giving talks on a bit of a different level to maybe just your regular sort of footballer that's in there. Yeah. I noticed, like, if you sort of, again, talking about basketball, but Golden State Warriors, they win the NBA finals again, and who sat on the bench behind the subs, Tony Robbins.
Okay.
And he's obviously a Golden State Warriors fan, and obviously like probably the biggest motivational guy in the world. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? And I can only imagine that had, if he's popping his head in to have a couple of words in your ear, that's going to have a huge impact on it. Was there anybody that really kind of went a little bit deeper with the motivation, or was it a lot of just like, just the shouting or the arm round, or was there someone that really kind of thought about things on a bit of a higher level? Yeah,
I think when you're talking about like a holistic view of everything, I think the gaffer mainly, because he would be the one that would pull you in the office and just ask you a question about how you're feeling. Nothing to do with football, and sometimes that's a real help. And that's a real motivating factor, where you're asking the right questions at the right times. In terms of players, probably not. But as I've gotten older, I've realised that there's so much more that makes a great footballer than just your physical ability. You know, you have to understand the mental of somebody, or where they're coming from, or where they're trying to get to. You know, so no, I think.
I suppose maybe that's something that just comes with age, like you say, and experience. So, yeah. You know, like you say, if Mills is the one that's doing that, it's because he's been through his playing career. He's been at the European Cup final, all that sort of stuff. Worked under Cloughy, who I think Clough was like my dad's favourite manager of all time, and obviously he's learned from people like that. So I suppose maybe that just comes with
and people like Tony Robbins, like they're vital, because there are so many hurdles and boundaries that you have to get over. So having somebody that does understand of how to unlock a different part of your brain, it's massive. It's massive, and that's no surprise how they've won in 8 years. They've won 4 championships. It's no surprise because they have got people like that in their locker room that they can lean on. And that's what I say to everybody, that every athlete, you have to decompress. You have to talk. You have to talk about everything you're going through, because when you bottle it up, at some point or another, it's going to come out. And 9 times out of 10, it'll come out in the wrong way if you haven't been able to deal with those issues or deal with anything you're going through.
Yeah. So, what lessons from your football career will you be taking on to the next step of life, or just life in general? What's the kind of standout, take-home things that if you could pick 1 or 2 things that you've learned as a result of football?
The main one is routine.
Yeah.
I've learned I'm a creature of habit, and when I've got a set routine and I know what I'm meant to be doing, I know what I'm meant to be, I have a plan, that's when I excel. And I feel as though when I've got a lot of free time and I haven't got anything planned, I just feel like I'm in limbo, you know? So I like to have a plan and a set diary of what I'm doing. Discipline. Okay, now I've never smoked. I've drank here and there. And those are another two things that I've taken discipline. I've taken pride in my discipline. I haven't drank when I haven't supposed to, or I haven't done anything in that regard. So, and that's why I've remained so, I feel injury free, and because I've led a life of health at the end of the day, I feel like what you put in your body is what you get out, and I think it really helps the mind as well. So yeah, the routine and that discipline.
Cool.
The main
Perfect. So what does the future hold for Jamal? Obviously, you've got the coaching business that you've got up and running now.
Yeah.
Is, like you say, is that just for footballers?
No, it's for everybody.
Reaching out to just general?
Yeah, it's literally for anyone that's. So I'm doing a lot of courses at the moment in terms of counselling. And it's a lot of geared towards psychology, but I'm so blessed to have a job where I've got a lot of free time. So if I'm not counselling or mentoring a player, I'm doing a little bit of coaching, football coaching, and that's with Leighton Orient. And then I've recently started doing a lot of broadcasting work and sports journalism work with the BBC and BT and Sky, and that's been amazing as well. But I love giving back, and if that's through helping someone mentally with counselling, or physically with training, or just giving my 2 pence on what I see in a game through broadcasting, then so be it. But to be honest, the main thing that I want to achieve is I want to just be fulfilled, enjoy my time that we have, because I've life. They say life is short, but life can also be long, and we see so many people suffering around the world. Like I went to Gambia a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I saw your Instagram.
And that was just an eye opener. I took my daughter as well. She's only 5, just to see a different side of the world, And it's one of the poorest countries in Africa, but to see the joy in their faces with so little, it was amazing.
It's you were giving them. You brought a lot of gifts. And
I went for an orphanage. And that orphanage where there was over 50 kids there who lived there, and they're all crowding around the stove to get their food, or there's not a lot of beds, so we went to give them supplies, like little things, and to see the joy in their faces. And it's really underdeveloped, so like a lot of the roads are sand, and I didn't see one frown, and it's hard. It's really hard out there. Yeah. It's really hard out there. So I came back thinking I've got so much. I'm so blessed. I've got so much going for me, and sometimes I'll sit there and think I want more, and I'm not content. And I realised that how blessed I was.
I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting more, and
There isn't.
not because that's what drives you forward. But it is also super important to practice gratitude as well, and to realise that genuinely how lucky
100%,
that we all are.
Yeah, I think it's a gift and a curse. I always say how I'm never satisfied.
Yeah.
Like I always want more. Like for instance, I could have just bought something nice. I think, do you know what? I want something better. Or you buy a car and you think, yeah, this car's right for a couple of months. Actually, I want a new one. Or buy a house now. I want a bigger house. It's a gift and a curse, and I think that's what's propelled me forward throughout my life. And I don't think it's a bad thing. But sometimes you do have to take your time and realize and look around you and think, how far have I come and what and be happy and content in that.
I think always wanting more and setting yourself, like you talk about, these new goals for you to chase is good because it propels you forward. I think when you start comparing, oh well, this other guy in the squad, he's got a bigger house or he drives a faster car. That's when you start that's when things start going wrong for you. Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
But if you're just focused on your journey and you can still, I don't think there's anything wrong with wanting more in life and wanting to progress. But definitely, like you say, experiences like going out to Gambia and that must ground you a lot and realise just
100%.
become so grateful for what you have got and how far you've come in life.
Yeah, and it's human nature to compare yourself to others. Like, let's be real. Like, we've got social media now.
Yeah.
There's always going to be someone with more than you. There's always going to be someone that has, or maybe better looking or has more money. But at the end of the day, you have to find your happiness in yourself. Because you can only live your life. And if you're always trying to chase someone else, you're never going to be happy. So as I said, look within and be happy with the journey that you're on. Because at the end of the day, you can achieve anything you want. You just have to put your mind to it.
Yeah, awesome, mate, awesome. So if you could go back to day one of pre-season training and you got to do the whole thing again. Okay,
the first ever pre-season I did?
The day one, first day as a pro,
okay.
You get to do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
What would you do differently?
What would I do differently? On my first day of pre-season.
Just through the career, but you get to do the whole journey again.
I'd learn to appreciate it because now that I'm 33, I don't know where the years have gone. Yeah. And someone always said that to me, when embrace the journey because it's going to be over before you know it, in the blink of an eye. And I'd embrace the tough times a lot more. Like I remember I tore my cartilage when I was about 18. And that really took it out of me. Like dark days where I missed half a season and I didn't think I was going to come back. But that journey now I've been on since then. I really wish I looked back on that and I thought, you know what? This is just a learning curve. This is just a bump in the road instead of taking so much out of myself, But no, I'd embrace the journey a lot more. I probably would have done more studying of myself and my own performances. Definitely want to look at what the naysayers were saying. Yeah. Obviously, going back to the clubs that were interested, I probably would have stayed level-headed, stayed grounded, stayed focused. But at the same time, if you ask me, would I change anything? I'd say no. Okay, yeah. Because I don't think I'd be the person I am now if I didn't go through with that. And I think now my path is helping others, and I don't think I would have been able to help anyone else if I didn't go through it all, But yeah. Yeah,
brilliant, man. Well, look, I really, really appreciate, you've come all the way up from Essex to do this, me. Drove 3.5 hours up here to come and have a little chat with me and to, like you say, get hopefully some great points in there, mate. And I'm sure that people are going to take some nuggets out of there and run with it and, definitely impact and help a lot of people, mate. So thank you so much, mate. I really appreciate it. Best luck next season, apart from when you play York.
No, I'm looking forward to playing York. I'm looking forward to playing York.
Looking forward to coming back.
Yeah, I hope I hear my song again. I ain't heard that in a long time. But hopefully when we play you guys. To be fair, because the last time we played you guys, I scored. And it was, I used to see players, when they score a goal against Old Team, they put their hands up and they don't want to celebrate out of respect. And I kind of felt that. I did kind of feel that because I feel like York is my club as well. But yeah, I hope I do score, to be fair. I hope you do win. But I hope you guys do as well.
You can have a goal and win 2-1. We'll take 2-1 when you get the goal. So.
I need my clean sheet, bro. I can't let you score 2 goals. I can't let you score 2.
Thanks a lot, mate. It's been absolutely a great chat, mate. Loved it. Thanks so much, Jamal.
My pleasure.
Buddy. Thank you for your time, mate. Thanks so much for listening. Please remember to like, share and subscribe. And if you need any more information on the Transformation Programme, just hit the link below.